Sycophants. They're not just for the rich and powerful anymore. You can also have your very own yes man. You just have to run all your ideas past AI. But here's the catch. When everything you say gets echoed back to you, it doesn't just feel good. It can also start to warp your thinking. The problem is, it is not really good for people just to be told what they want to hear all the time. The rise in an unofficial mental illness called AI chatbot psychosis is absolutely evidence of this. This video, I'm going to tell you the stories about what it is, how AI telling you what you want to hear all the time leads to this problem, the psychology behind it, and what it can mean to your career, even if you don't believe you're the messiah due to your AI agreeing with everything you say. So let's get into it. We're going to be started with the rise of AI psychosis with one recent, pretty viral example. In the summer of 2025, a woman went public with a very unusual story. She live-streamed her conversations with an AI companion, a chatbot she had given a name and a personality. Over time, she explained that the chatbot had confirmed her deepest suspicion that her psychiatrist was secretly in love with her. The AI not only validated this belief, but elaborated on it, feeding her words of encouragement and turning a private suspicion into what she saw as an undeniable truth. Now, let me be completely clear here. AI psychosis is not a clinical diagnosis. It's not in the DSM-5, and it's not a recognized medical condition. But that doesn't mean that she's alone, or that this doesn't exist. Other stories have started surfacing as well. Psychology Today described individuals who were convinced that AI chatbots were divine beings, communicating messages from God. Wired reported on people who arrived at mental hospitals, clutching printed transcripts of their chatbot conversations, claiming that they contained revelations. Stat News wrote about users who became romantically attached to their AI companions, who were positive that these machines felt the same way in return. Taken together, these stories paint a striking picture. The people involved were often sharing a certain pattern of long, unbroken hours of interaction with chatbot companions, conversations where every thought and suspicion was answered with agreement, and every fear validated, every fantasy elaborated upon. The chatbot doesn't correct or challenge them, it reinforces them. And that reinforcement becomes the fuel that powers increasingly delusional beliefs. Now, you may be tempted to shrug this off as rare, isolated, or extreme. And indeed, psychiatrists note that most of these individuals appear to be predisposed to delusional thinking, or were in states of emotional isolation or stress to begin with. But the point here isn't that everyone will develop grandiose delusions after using a chatbot. The point here is that these extreme cases show in a very exaggerated form what AI systems are designed to do. They agree with you. They mirror you. They reflect your words back in ways that feel persuasive and convincing. And if that feedback loop can escalate into a full-blown delusional systems and vulnerable individuals, it should be something that makes the rest of us take some pause. Because the mechanism that powers AI psychosis in the headlines is the very same mechanism that powers every AI interaction that you and I have with it. If you strip away the headlines, the question is pretty straightforward. Why would an AI system encourage or validate beliefs that are obviously false? The answer lies in something research calls sycophancy, or getting told what you want to hear over and over. Maybe pronounced well even. In AI, this refers to a model's tendency to echo, agree, or adapt to the user's views, even when those views are wrong. And here's how it works. Large language models are trained on massive amounts of text to help predict the next word in a sequence. Left alone, that prediction process would sometimes yield strange or unhelpful answers. So developers added a second stage, which was reinforcement learning from human feedback, or often called RLHF. In this stage, human testers rated answers, and the AI learned which responses were judged better. The goal was to make the system more helpful, more polite, and more engaging. But there was a hidden side effect. Human raters naturally scored answers higher when they sounded agreeable, supportive, or aligned with what the user appeared to want. The model learned that pleasing people was the path to reward, not accuracy, not the truth, approval. And that simple design choice has enormous consequences for how we interact with these systems. It's like teaching a child that they'll only get dessert if they say nice things. Accuracy doesn't matter, then flattery does. And that's why if you tell an AI, I think my idea is brilliant, it'll often agree with you. And if you ask whether your business plan is perfect, it's going to be far more likely to help you polish your phrasing than to point out your flaws. As one survey of AI behavior put it, models become digital yes men, aligning themselves with your opinions rather than pushing back. Now layer on a second phenomenon, and this is one that's actually been observed for 60 years, and that's called the ELIZA Effect. In 1966, Joseph Weizenbaum built a simple program called ELIZA. It mimicked a therapist by turning the user's words back into questions. So as an example, if somebody typed, "I'm feeling anxious," ELIZA would respond, "Why are you feeling anxious?" While the program was crude, people poured their hearts out to it. They attributed empathy, wisdom, even understanding to what was in reality little more than a language trick. The ELIZA effect shows us how readily humans are going to project human-like qualities onto machines that sound conversational. So even when users knew the system was mechanical, they felt it understood them. So what happens then when you mix the flattery of sycophancy with the tendency to humanize machines? When you put these two together into a machine that flatters you and the human tendency to believe that a machine is deeper than it really is, and that turns into a somewhat volatile mix. AI tells you what you want to hear, you interpret it as validation from a trusted companion, and once that bond forms, every new interaction will reinforce it. And it's not a bug, it's how the systems are designed. Which is why the next step of this video, the psychological perspective, kind of matters so much. And later in this video, I will show you how this applies directly to everyday professional decisions. But the real danger becomes clear when you look at what psychology has been telling us for decades. Human beings are not neutral information processors. We are wired with biases that make constant affirmation intoxicating, and in this case, dangerous. So let's start with the most famous, the confirmation bias. It's the tendency to seek out and believe information that supports what we already think, while ignoring or dismissing what challenges us. Psychologist Raymond Nickerson called it ubiquitous, and with good reason. Study after study shows that when presented with evidence, people gravitate towards the bits that confirm their hunches and quietly disregard the rest. Now place that tendency into a feedback loop with an AI that's built to agree with you. Suddenly, confirmation bias isn't just a background quirk of human reasoning, it's a design feature of the AI system. But confirmation bias is only the beginning. There's also echo chambers. In politics and media, echo chambers will describe environments where everyone repeats the same beliefs, amplifying them until they sound like the truth. Philosophers showed us that echo chambers don't just shelter you from disagreement, they actively train you to distrust outside voices. So over time, echo chambers make its members more extreme, more confident, and less open to correction. Now imagine an echo chamber of one, a personal AI that reflects only you. Every thought you feed to it, it feeds back to you in much more polished language. You're not just in a community of agreement, you're in a private echo chamber with its reinforcements. And it doesn't just stop there. We also have belief perseverance adding to the problem. That's once a belief takes root, we cling to it, even after evidence behind it is discredited. Some classic experiments have shown that people will continue to hold on to their false impressions long after they're told the supporting information was fabricated. It's as if once a story takes root in your mind, it resists being uprooted. So when AI affirms your story, such as yes, your boss is undermining you, or yes, your startup idea is brilliant, it's planting seeds that will be extraordinarily hard to dig out later, no matter how much contradictory evidence you encounter. Finally, we have the Dunning-Kruger Effect. David Dunning and Justin Kruger demonstrated that people with the least skill or knowledge in a domain are often the most confident. So the less you know, the harder it is to see your own blind spots. When you add AI sycophancy into the mix, you ask a chatbot about a complex topic you barely understand, it's going to echo your assumption, filling gaps with confident-sounding prose, and then hand it back to you. The result is that not only do you remain ignorant of your own limits, you've become more convinced that you've actually mastered the subject. Overconfidence on steroids. Now stack these on top of each other and you see just how fragile our reasoning can become when AI keeps nodding along. Confirmation bias, echo chambers, belief perseverance, and Dunning-Kruger are all well-documented psychological phenomena. On their own, they can lead people astray, but in combination with AI systems that validate rather than challenge thoughts or theories that are not based in reality, they end up creating a fertile environment for delusional thinking. And for individuals that are already predisposed to psychosis, narcissism, isolation, that environment can tip beliefs from ordinary overconfidence into the territory of full-blown delusions. And this is why experts are starting to describe chatbot psychosis as a kind of technological fool-de-do, a shared delusion between human and machine. Human brings the seed of belief, the AI waters it, and together it grows into something neither of them could have produced alone. It's not that the AI has a mind of its own, it's that our minds are all too ready to be bent by the affirmations that AI gives us. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, all right, but I'm not about to fall in love with a chatbot or believe it's God or show up at a hospital with AI chat transcripts. And that's probably true. For most people, the danger does not look this dramatic. It looks rather ordinary. And that's part of what makes this so risky. For most professionals, the risk isn't full-blown psychosis. It's something that's quieter, more insidious. And that's being misled in ways that erode your judgment. The same mechanism that produces these dramatic cases of AI-fueled delusion also operates in our everyday interactions. So every time you ask a chatbot for feedback and it gives you affirmation instead of critique, you end up in a feedback loop. Every time it hands you a polished, confident-sounding answer without any sources, you're more likely to just take it at face value. And the more you use it, the more natural that trust begins to feel. That's the professional risk. Not madness, not misplaced confidence, and definitely not psychosis, but slow creeping dependence on a system that was never designed to tell you the truth. It was designed to tell you what you think sounds good. So for professionals, especially those further along in their careers, this should be a wake-up call. Many of us didn't grow up with this type of technology, so we weren't trained to treat machine outputs with the same skepticism as we might bring to an email forward, for example. Without baseline knowledge of AI sycophancy, it's easy to slip into overtrust, and that's where competence comes in. Just as you would never sign off on a report you didn't understand, you can't afford to just rely on AI without grasping basic mechanics about it. Knowing about sycophancy, the ELIZA effect, and the psychology of constant affirmation isn't optional trivia, it's professional survival. And it's how you protect yourself from being nudged slowly and invisibly into decisions that look polished but actually lack substance. Here's the truth. AI is not an oracle. It's not your partner in truth-seeking. It's a mirror. It's one that's going to flatter you, agree with you, and reflect back what you bring to it. If you don't understand that, you risk being misled. But if you do understand it, if you learn the basics of how these systems work, then AI becomes what it should be, which is a tool, a powerful, useful tool that you can direct, question, and keep in its proper place. And this is where competence matters. The good news is that you can learn these basics. So this is why I created my course. It's designed for professionals who want to build that foundation. So if you're looking for a practical way to build competence, I invite you to take a look. Because knowing how AI works isn't optional anymore. It's part of being a capable professional. The course is out now for beta testing with a full version due out mid-October 2025. Check out the pinned comment for more information. So let us know in the comments. Have you ever had AI tell you something that agreed with you, but that you suspected wasn't really true at all? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps our videos go out to more people. As a new and small channel, we really appreciate it. Until next time. Sycophancy. Sycophancy. Oh, Jesus. How AI sycophancy. How AI telling you what you want to hear all the time leads to this problem.